that way? Yeah.
That alone doesn't mean much, but what's also interesting, throughout the rest of the developed industrialized countries, we're seeing a gradual decline in the annual hours worked. In 1980, for example, the Japanese, which most people look at when we try to do these comparisons, actually work more hours than the average American. But what we've seen is a decrease of more than 10%. So now they're actually working less than the U.S. The Europeans are also working less hours. They historically have worked slightly less than that of their American counterparts, but over time they're also seeing a gradual downward trend. And a lot of these are caused by cultural differences from time away from work. One example that I like to give, in the U.S., when a college graduate graduates and takes their first job, it's somewhat commonplace for them to get on average about 2 weeks of annual leave. When you compare that to the Europeans, which on average range between maybe 4 to 6 weeks, that affects those hours of work annually worked. So there are some basically underlying cultural differences in these numbers. Formal sector, when you remove the hours issue and you say what is a value added per hour worked, so if you were to take an American, set them down beside a Japanese, and they both produce for an hour, and this is an oversimplified model, the American would outproduce the Japanese slightly. I think the value is roughly around $9 difference. What's interesting from the American perspective, if you use that same thing and you do it with the French against an American, the Frenchman is slightly more productive than the U.S., and most Americans always concentrate on productivity comparisons to the East, to Asia, when the Europeans are, once again, very productive, doing things slightly different, but still able to produce.
For that is, and it's said in the report, and I just wanted to read the quote on that website at the end if you need it. Most of us seem to be working a bit harder than we were just a few years ago. In manufacturing, clearly manufacturing workers are increasing hours, partly because of shortages and partly because they want to in order to add to compensation. You can't just say increasing hours is a bad thing at all. And I think that you got to go into it deeper to suggest that it is. NAM